Alright, now we're ready to take a look at problem 2-3. This is kind of an interesting problem because we have an ellipse, and of course we've got some symmetry, but we also have a circular pattern, and that's the key slots in the center. So once again, I would recommend let's figure out what are the primary features. Let's set that up, and then we can take a look at the secondary features that we can create and then mirror, and then focus on the central feature there, the key slot, by producing one of the repeated units and creating a pattern using the polar array. So let's start with the template. Switch over to the model. I'm going to remove the grid there, and then starting to work with the centerline layer, I'm going to establish the horizontal and vertical reference lines first. So start with construction line, vertical, set one down, go right back in again, and let's do the horizontal. Now the way that we're going to show our ellipse is I'm going to switch over to the object layer, and you'll see over here there's three different ways to do your ellipse. We're going to go ahead and use the center one. So basically you're defining the major and then the minor radius. So we've got a 4.5 major, and then we have a 3-inch radius, minor radius. So starting with the center here, projecting to 0-degree angle there, we'll do 4.5, and then projecting towards 90, we're going to enter 3.0. So that's the outer ellipse. And what we could do here is then use offset, and we'll enter 0.375, select the ellipse, and offset towards the center. Now we could just focus our attention in one of these corners here so that we can create the repeatable pattern using the mirror command. Alright, now if we take a look, we've got our arm width here of 0.375. If I use my right click calculator here, I can do 0.375 and divide that by 2. So I have 1875, which I can just copy. And the reason why I'm doing that is so now I can just offset here to create one side of that arm. So I'll use offset, O for offset, and then you can see here I'll just paste my result. 1875, enter. Select this line, offset to the right. Select this line, offset towards the top. Now I can use match properties. Match properties is in your clipboard. We can select match properties, then select the ellipse and apply that to those two offset construction lines. Now we also have a circle there of radius 1,875. So if I start that from the center, radius 1.875. Okay, now we have all the edges for our filleting, and that one feature up in the right corner. We have a typical fillet radius of 0.250, so let's start with fillet here. And once again, if we take a look at trim, you can see that it's a no trim option. That's fine, we can go back and trim. And then if we look at the radius, we want to set that to 0.250, and we're doing multiple radii. So I'm using M, enter, and then I'll go ahead and create all of the fillet radii. Okay, I'll use those same fillet radii as the cutting edges, so I'm going to select them. And then now I'll be able to enter and trim off my excess. Now as you can see here, there maybe was a problem here with this edge right here, right? Now what we could try to do is let's just try to trim one more time, make sure. Alright, now another thing is that it's possible that it did not create the fillet radius properly for whatever reason, but we'd always redraw it in there or draw a line so that we could trim off the excess, right? So here's what I'll do. I'll just redo that trim, or that fillet, but this time I'll do it with a trim. So if I do fillet, check the radius one more time, make sure it's the right size there. I'll do T for trim, put it into trim mode, and then now I'll cut it. So it looks at least it created the fillet. So in order to trim my ellipse, here's what I need to do. Because when I use offset, it created a spline curve, I'll use P-edit or PE to convert that spline into a polyline. And we could use just a default 10 units for precision. And once we do that, we should be able to enter the trim command one more time, reselect our fillet edges there, hit enter, and then do our final trimming. Once we've done that, then we could select all our entities here, use the mirror command, select the center point, and then any point along that line to create our copy. We'll repeat this with both entities there, now using the horizontal as our mirror line. Once we've done that, now we could focus on the central piece here. And what we want to establish first is we want to establish some reference lines. So I'll use the hidden line layer for that. And if you take a look, we've got a 19-degree angle here and a 21-degree angle. So if I just divide the 19 by 2, I should be able to calculate what this angle is and what this angle is. We'll do it this way. Again, using the right click here, we'll use our quick calc. If I just escape to cancel all that, and I have 19 divided by 2, that's 9.5. So what we have there is 99.5 and 80.5 as our reference angles. So first of all, I'll do a line starting from the center there, right? And in order to create the angle here, make sure your dynamic input is off, that's F12, and then we could just do at, some distance, let's say 5 inches, or 4 or whatever, and then we'll do the angle at 99.5, and then enter. There's one of them. And then we'll do the other one here again at a distance of 5 at an angle of 80.5. And there's the second one. So here's one, and here's the first one. Now, if we take what is 80.5 and we subtract 21, that gives us 59.5. That's the third reference angle. So 59.5. Let me just close this. We'll start again, a new line. At 5 less than 59.5. And there's our third reference point. Now, we've got a couple more circles on the inside, so let's switch layers. Let's do radius, starting from the same center point. We've got radius 1350. We've got a radius of 150. Okay, there we are. Now, if we look closely, okay, what we have here is we've got a set of key slot here, but if we just take a look at the edges, you can see here we've got a line coming up along the reference edge, and then we have a line that's tangent to the outer circle there to intersect with that second reference line. We come down, and then we follow the curve of that first inner circle. Okay, so the one way we could do this is we could do this with a polyline. Starting from this point here. Now, if I track from the quadrant here to the intersection to that line there, then I could come across to this line here and come down to this intersection here. Now, to complete the arc here, I switch to A for arc, and then we use the option S enter for second point. Now second point allows me to pick a point anywhere in here in between these two reference lines, and then I could finish it here at this intersection. So what I need to do is use the shift right click so I can select a point nearest anywhere in here, right? I don't want it to snap anywhere else. And then I can finish here at this intersection and escape. So now you can see here's the one unit that is the unit for the pattern. It's going to be polar arrayed. All right. So if we take a look at the drawing one more time, you can see if we count that unit, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those distributed equally through 360. So let's do this. Let's put these circles onto the hidden layer, right? They're just there for reference now. And what I'll do is I'll select this object as the object that I'm going to polar array. And when I go over here to my modify panel, you can see in the drop down I've got polar array here. What I'll want to do is select the midpoint here, which is going to represent the base point of the array. And then once I do that, then you can see at the top your ribbon turns into the array properties. And we can leave it associative, okay? But take a look at the items here. If we enter 9, then you can see it'll fill a degree angle of 360, and you can see there's an angle of 40 between each one. All right? We zoom out, you can see the whole thing. If you like what you see, just hit enter to accept your changes. Now, zoom extents, and you can see here all we need to do is get our drawing ready for annotations. Why don't we go ahead and do that?